Time for business then. Stephen Carroll is with us here on set, starting with an appeal to prevent what's being called a humanitarian crisis at sea, this is.
Yeah, that's right. Some 300 companies have signed up to a call to help crews aboard freight vessels that have been stranded at sea because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The firms, including the shipping giant Muller-Maersk and oil firm BP, have signed up to help resolve a crew change crisis which is impacting hundreds of thousands of workers. Now, despite a call from the UN to designate maritime personnel as key workers last December, many ship crews are struggling to swap over with colleagues on land because of health restrictions. The signatories of this Neptune Declaration are hoping to use the virtual Davos Forum to bring the issue to the attention of world leaders.
US for this next story. President Biden there says he's ready to compromise over his economic rescue plan now.
Getting that $1.9 trillion package passed through Congress is the top priority for the new Biden administration. The US president hinting on Monday that he may be willing to compromise with lawmakers who think the price tag is too high. One part of that plan could be to change the stimulus payments. The Biden plan promises $1,400 in payments to Americans who earn less than $75,000 a year. But the president says who gets that money could be up for negotiation.
Now we're going to have arguments. For example, I propose that because it was bipartisan, I thought it would increase the prospects of passage. The additional $1,400 in direct cash payment to folks. Well, there's legitimate reason for people to say, do you have the lines drawn the exact right way? Should it go to anybody making over X number of dollars or why? I'm open to negotiate those things.
And we know that stimulus is a big issue for the markets, and while investors might be worried the plan in the US could be watered down, market analysts are saying the general size being discussed is still pretty positive for them. Coronavirus a bigger focus for investors today, with fears over vaccine shortages and the potential for fresh lockdowns in Europe weighing on their minds. Markets starting the day in Europe pretty flat, just Germany's Frankfurt DAX seeing some small gains there. On the Asian markets, there were falls across the board in Asian trading. Sharp falls actually in Hong Kong and in Seoul, both indexes there down over 2%.
Now, here in France, the government is said to be considering another lockdown, which would see more businesses, of course, forced to close, wouldn't it?
So currently in France, all retailers are allowed to open until the 6 p.m. curfew. But across the border in Belgium, hairdressers and other salons have been shut since early November. And that's led some in that sector to break the rules by making house calls, a step that they say is necessary to survive. Axie Myers-Belkin has the story.
Walking down a Brussels street, unassuming bag in hand, there's no reason this man should arouse suspicion. Bonjour. Louis is a hairdresser. His salon's been closed for 3 months, but he's doing illegal home visits instead. Louis is risking a fine of at least €750, but he says he hasn't got a choice. There's nothing left of the €6,000 he's so far received in government aid.
C'est ça ou je meurs, je meurs de faim. Demain, si je ne travaille pas en extra, je dois liquider ma maison. Les réserves sont épuisées.
His client is also happy to break the law.
Il y a plein de gens qui vont peut-être dire oui, c'est pas nécessaire d'appeler coiffeur, mais moi, si j'en ai besoin, je le fais pour moi, et puis pour lui aussi.
Unlike in France, in Belgium, hairdressers, beauty salons and tattoo parlours, deemed high-risk environments for COVID-19, were forced to close on the 2nd of November. And now it's not hard to find people offering their services online. But so far, only 2 people have faced fines for clandestine working, out of more than 3,000 police checks. That's because authorities can only carry out inspections on sites registered to businesses.
Ce qui est compliqué, c'est de pouvoir constater l'infraction sur place. Parce que pour cela, il faut naturellement se rendre au sein du domicile et ça demande d'avoir monté un dossier et d'avoir obtenu certaines autorisations écrites d'un juge, par exemple.
The Belgian government has mooted a reopening of beauty salons in mid-February, but only if the country's COVID situation improves.
And finally from Stephen, an online battle over shares in the retailer. This is about GameStop.
The company saw a massive rally in its shares in recent weeks after calls on social media for investors to pile into the company. At one stage on Monday, shares were up by 145%. That's after the storm was whipped up among day traders, particularly on the website Reddit. The buying pressure on GameStop then attracted short sellers who gain when a stock falls. So they started betting against the companies. This back and forth continued throughout the day on Monday. Shares still finishing up 18% after a massively volatile day. However, over 175 million shares in the company changed hands on Monday. That's the second highest total on record for one day's trading. All of this despite the fact that GameStop has actually seen falling sales for 4 years now and have generally been considered to be perhaps not such a great investment, but everyone just decided to have a bit of a tug of war over it.
That's amazing. Interesting. Okay, thank you very much, Stephen Carroll with Business on France 24, telling us all about that. I'm going to turn to Alison, who you just saw. You can see now.